Yo, 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 it's your boy Casual Rail with the Silent A podcast. And man, we back with another one and a quick one at that. Yo, hit that like button, comment below, subscribe, man. Appreciate all that love. We're going quick, we're going fast for a small channel. You know, we've been pressing it and pressing it hard, man. Again, we appreciate all that love. Hit that like button again. Comment below. More importantly, let us know what you think. Interact with us. That like button is free. And again, yo, hit that subscribe, man. Appreciate the love. Keep supporting the channel as much as you can as we're going live here. And we're going to get straight into it, right? We got the likes of Keith one-time Thurman. Is he back? Is he back on his game? Is he back on top? Is he back in contender status? Where is he back in the sport of boxing? Salute to that man. Salute to that brother for getting back into it, getting back into the ring, getting us back into the action, and more importantly, showing all fighters what it means to be dedicated to the sport of boxing, remain in the sport of boxing, doing what you have to do to get back in the sport of boxing with the ups and downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But more importantly, man, taking it serious and showing them you can do all that, be a true professional, and promote at the same time. Keith one-time Thurman promoted this fight March 12, 2025 to the fullest of his ability, to the best that he could. And I believe it was successful. I think a lot of people tuned in, probably not in real time, meaning here from the States in real time. Obviously, that was an early card, early fight. But many are watching the replays. Many are tuning in to what happened over in Australia. The crowd looked like it was pretty much sold out in a nice size arena. It wasn't big, wasn't a stadium or nothing like that, but it was a nice arena. It was packed with people to come see Keith one-time Thurman, who did his job throughout the weeks prior to this fight, building it up, building the crowd, building the momentum around the likes of Brock Jarvis, you know, who pretty much was well unknown outside of Australia, but known, you know, decently enough of an okay name to come back against, right? It's a stepping stone. We all knew what this was. We knew it was a get back fight for Keith Thurman, and this would be it, right? This is to get him back on going and get him back in the ring, get some rounds underneath his belt. I didn't predict the knockout, especially not an early knockout like it happened, you know, in the third round. But it came and he felt it. And we're going to give a breakdown on the fight here in a second, like how it went, everything. We've watched it many of times already, especially since it was only a 3-round fight. But, you know, he got back in there. He showed who he is. He showed, he had a little bit of ring rust. And when he got comfortable, we saw the flashes of the old Keith Thurman, the original Keith Thurman, the one that we loved to see pre-2020. I hope he stays busy. We are going to get into some rumors of his next potential fights. One of them being in the ring while in the arena, commenting while he was there. But more importantly, man, salute to Keith Thurman before we get back into this video all the way through. Salute to him. Salute to Brock Jarvis for showing up and, putting his all that he could. Yes, it was a 3-round stoppage, fight. But he had some success himself there, meaning Brock Jarvis in rounds 1. Just salute to that man. Salute to him showing up. Salute to any fighter that gets in that ring and at least tries to put it on the line and tries to challenge himself. It was a big challenge for the likes of Brock Jarvis, even with the age, even with the inactivity from the likes of Keith one-time Thurman. It was still a challenge for that young man because he's fighting someone that's been doing this since the age of 7, who's now 36, so damn near 30 years of his life dedicated to the sport of boxing, even with the inactivity, even with being in and out of the ring, as much as he has been, some of it from promotional back and forth issues and some of it with, obviously the injuries that he's been suffering. But still a challenge for him getting there with that legend and still trying and not just laying down, right? He went out on his shield, meaning Brock Jarvis, and he's got a successful career for himself set up. His name is now known. Even with the loss, he can still come back and produce great fights for us. Obviously, he's going to need some stepping stones back in Australia to get his name back, lamented where it should be and growing where he should be. But with that said, let's get straight into it, right? Let's get to the breakdown. What happened, March 12th, 2025, Keith One Time Thurman, Brock Jarvis got it going. What, what happened was round number one is exactly what you think it would happen for a fighter that's been around, that's been out of the ring. Really, 3 years is where the chronological time tells you to stop that when he fought Marius Barrios. But let's be honest, guys. Keith One Time Thurman has only fought that one time in 6 years. Since 2019, he's only fought one time. That's damn near 6-year layoff. Yes, the Mario Barrios fight was great. It was good. Keith showed flashes of himself in there as well as he handled Marius Barrios. And then obviously coming off the Manny Pacquiao loss in 2019, which was a split decision where Keith really showed he belonged in there with the likes of Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Could have won that fight, man, if it wasn't for the damn knockdown. But it is what it is, right? So what we say here, round number one looked exactly what you think a man who's only fought once in 6 years should look like. Except for we're going to compare this to a legend. So if it was a normal person like me, you, or just any lower tier fighter, I expect him to look, somewhat sloppy in the first round. But for Keith, it wasn't sloppiness. It was just getting adjusted. Skill set was clearly still there. You could see it out the gate. He tried to press the likes of Brock Jarvis, which you can see some of the annoyance from Keith, meaning he was trying to figure it out right then and there, like get that old thing back, get that groove back, get the jitters out. Don't want to over impress. I think he tried that in the first round. He tried to press Brock a little too hard, meaning I think he wanted to get the knockout in the first round. I think he wanted to make a staple, make a name for himself, and say that Keith One Time Thurman is back. The guy who hasn't had a knockout in probably about 10 years, mainly because of the level of competition he's fought was great, good chins. And obviously he's been laid off off for the last, few years. But once he got comfortable and understood, like, okay, I can't get this guy out of here in the first round. Let me figure it out. Let me sit down. Let me, figure myself out. He did suffer some adversity there, meaning from the likes of Brock Jarvis, where Brock tried to press quickly, if that makes sense. Brock tried to swarm the likes of Keith One Time Thurman, which all of us know Keith has a body issue. He doesn't like body shots. They usually get him, about damn near takes him out. He hasn't been dropped yet from a body shot, surprisingly, but he's been hurt plenty of times in a fight, and he usually figures out, gets on his legs, moves his feet around laterally, and stays out of the way of the next big shots till he fully recovers. That shows his pedigree, that shows his professionalism in the ring, and shows his awareness and boxing IQ. With that said, Brock tried it. He pressed good. He got a good body shot in there, and Keith held up. He wasn't hurt, but Brock saw his opportunity. He tried to press a good couple shots up in there, get to the body, dig in as much as he could as the young man tried to show that he was the bigger 154-pounder that night. And he looked good. He had some good success there, got some good shots in, and that's pretty much where the round ended for round number one, right? It looked just like you think it should look for the likes of Keith One Time Thurman. He had good shots to start off really fast, really hard, trying to press and out punch the bigger fighter and the younger fighter likes of Brock Jarvis. But then, he kind of settled down. He got caught with that body shot. Did not hurt, but just, woke him up a little bit, that he moved around, readjusted, defense got right, and he ended the round just how you needed to do. He won that first round in our eyes easily. Second round, though, he got caught a little bit. You can still see One Time, figuring it out, like getting back to his groove, not getting out of his mindset of trying to be too much of a showman, too much of taking this fighter out, too much of trying to get the knockout in the first round. When he realized that, he got back to the old Keith Thurman. You could even hear it on the broadcast when Sean Porter was commenting. Keith started moving laterally, moving his legs really good, getting on that bike, pumping his jab, moving around, trying to set his shots up a little bit better. He started getting a little loose. He was still a little tight, he's still, getting back in that boxing, cadence, getting back to what was him, you know what I'm saying? And it was interesting to see it develop there in the second round and develop so quickly. A lot of fighters who had a lot of layoff time and ring rust, it usually takes them about 4 rounds to get back into that old thing, get back in that groove. And Keith really took a round and a half, because about the middle of that second round, his footwork was amazing. He started getting comfortable, started moving around. He got caught here and there by Jarvis, who was a live fighter in that second round, as he was trying to get to that body. He is a known body puncher, by the way, but he was trying to get to that body, obviously. And then he's setting up some good jabs that actually caught Keith a little sometimes here and there when he was trying to exchange, and he was actually getting counterpunched by the junior fighter there, meaning Keith One Time Thurman getting counterpunched by the likes of Brock Jarvis. And Jarvis had some good success in the second round, but again, Keith had the better shots, had the better placement, definitely stayed out of the way most of that round there, and really pressed the action, really pressed the fight. And then it came to that third round. So you saw the warm-up happening. It's definitely by the end of the second round. And Keith was not breathing hard at all. He got to the corner, second round, he's looking fine. That's usually another warning for a fighter that's been out of the ring, right? That ring rust. Usually in the first few rounds, they're breathing a little bit harder than usual. The cardio isn't there. They haven't been used to pressing in a real fight under the lights in so long that it kind of catches up to them. But then you have, in the other corner, Brock Jarvis breathing hard, right? Breathing heavy, breathing hard. Calmness in the likes of Keith One Time Thurman, really showing his veteran pedigree, really showing that he will be a Hall of Famer, really showing that he takes boxing so serious and so well. And more importantly, during the off season, during the off time, even the times he's been down, laid up, and hurt, it was clear that that man managed his cardio, managed his health, managed his physique throughout his downtime. He didn't get in too much of a rut. He looked good. He looked great. He looked composed. He looked together in that corner. And to me, that spoke more volumes than even the knockout, which came in the third round. Why? Because it showed that Keith, that wasn't luck. The knockout wasn't luck. The performance wasn't luck. It was preparation, hard work, and dedication from the likes of Keith One Time Thurman. That's what we needed to see that night, or really earlier today. Keith One Time Thurman, man, he's back. He's in there. He's looking good. Now, I'm not going to, get into the world beater and all that and say that he's ready to take on the biggest of champions in the 154-pound division and all that. But he's got some names coming up. But before we get to that, let's wrap it up. Third round, badass uppercut, left uppercut at that really sent the likes of Brock Jarvis down. The brother didn't see it coming. As you can see, as the third round began, Keith was in his bag. He was back. He felt it. You could see it in his face. He smiled a little bit. And he's like, yeah, he got it all together. He got his lateral movement back. He's got his footwork going the way he wants to. The jab was slipping in there and his counter punches was getting right. But more importantly, it was that good stutter overhand right when he catches you with the feint and hits you with the overhand right. That is Keith One Time Thurman's bread and butter punch, and he was landing it at will by changing his levels. He was going to the body, confusing Brock that he was going to go down, come back up, overhand right all day. He had him open. He had what he needed. The game plan was coming together. The levels were working for him. The jab was working for him. Everything was clicking for Keith One Time Thurman, and he looked good. He looked strong, and he poured it on. And as he started changing his level, confusing Brock, he clipped him, got him confused, and then that's when that uppercut came and put that young man down viciously against the ropes. But shout out to Brock, man. The brother's got heart. Brock's got heart, man. He got back up. Most people wouldn't have got back up from that, nor composed themselves enough to allow the ref. The ref allowed it to continue. Like, he looked good enough. And then literally 3 or 4 seconds later, Keith did what he was supposed to do, pounced on him, and did not let him breathe, knocked him back down, and that was the end of the fight. So wrapping that up, right, it was a good performance with Keith One Time Thurman. I give it an A-, type of performance. It looked good, man. He looked solid, and it's what you wanted to see from him. Granted, it's Brock Jarvis, right? He's not a top 10 contender or nothing like that, but he's a name. Known enough in Australia and a little bit around the world, but just enough of a name has some commonalities with other fighters, and it's a good test, right? You took some strength, you took some power shots, you took some hits from a younger fighter, and it showed that you are conditioned enough, and your chin is still there, your punch resistance is still there, meaning Keith one-time Thurman, so you can handle this. You're back. You're pro boxing ready, right? Even with the injuries and everything, it tested out, it looked good, his strength was there. Hell, he might be stronger than he was prior to the injury. The next steps for Keith one-time Thurman. He could, let's turn this down a little bit. Keith, he's got options, and it's clear where the PBC wants this thing to go, right? It's pretty obvious. It's pretty clear. Tim Tszyu, right? Tim Tszyu is the light. He is the way. He is the path forward for Keith one-time Thurman. Tim Tszyu was in the arena last night, obviously being from Australia, but more importantly, he was in attendance, commentating and watching the fights, pretty much scouting his future opponent, who they were originally supposed to get it on about a year and a half ago, but Keith got injured and had to pull out of that fight a couple weeks prior. Now that we see that the way it's going, he was in there commentating, they're getting smart about it, and with Tim Tszyu getting ready to take on the likes of Joey Spencer, him and Joey, I believe, are scheduled in April 2025. Get that scrap going. If he's successful, if he beats Joey Spencer and gets out of that and is mentally ready, meaning Tim Tszyu, who's taken two back-to-back rough losses. I believe he beat the likes of Sebastian Fundora. I think he did beat Sebastian, but it is what it is. The fight came out the way it came out, and then he went on and fought Bakram and got knocked out. I think he still really wasn't too well mentally recovered from that loss from Fundora, especially with that nasty gash. You could see it in rounds 1 and 2 where he kept feeling for it, even though it was fully healed and nothing had happened. I think he was, that muscle memory, that triggering, that almost that PTSD type feel, kind of got in his way. I just think Tim wasn't mentally ready, and also walked in with a bad game plan against the likes of Bakram. So anyways, 2 back-to-back losses like that. He's got to get it against Joey Spencer, but assuming he beats him, he's trying to rebuild his career, rebuild his path, 154 pound, and that should meet with the likes of Keith one-time Thurman, who's back in the business, back in game, and they were originally signed to fight. And by stature and physique, they are both similar 154 pounders, height, weight, reach. They match up pretty well, especially Tim being on the smaller end of the 154 pound division. Matches up well for Keith, who was a 147 pound former champion, to move up. But then there's the rumors, right? Then there's the other thing. Then there's the other game plan. And I can see PBC licking their chops now to make this fight happen. Who else has been out of the ring for damn near 2, almost going on 3 years? Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is still looking for a fight, still looking for a scrap at 154 pounds, maybe even 160 at this point because he's been out long enough. But he's still working out. He's still keeping his physique. I think he's saying, he posted something, he still weighs in about 180-ish, but a good 180, high 170-ish, in shape, ready to cut down at a moment's notice. And I can see PBC licking their chops. There's nothing to hold this fight back. It's always had been rumored for years that, Keith one-time Thurman ducked Errol the Truth Spence when he was champion. Now, can he get that get back, or can we settle who was the real duck, who was the real person out, hiding from the other one? Can we get Errol Spence and Keith one-time Thurman? What we mean by nothing holding this fight back? What stopped Errol from getting the Sebastian Fundora fight was simply the WBA organization said no. He's not ranked, and rightfully so, by the way. He's not ranked. He's not prepared to be here. He's not supposed to be in this division. He hasn't done anything. He's been too inactive. So they denied the fight. They would not let it go down, or Fundora would lose his belt. Rightfully so. And it had to be scrapped. Still looking for a good fight. Keith One Time Thurman just came back, looked good off inactivity. Errol Spence doesn't believe in tune-ups. There's no reason we can't get this fight popping this summer, early August. I believe it'll be the bigger pay-per-view fight. Although many will kind of wrestle with it if they should really buy into this pay-per-view event. Obviously, it would be pay-per-view. I would love for it to be free, but the way PBC is moving, it is what it is. You know how they get down with the pay-per-view cards. And I guess this could be pay-per-view-ish worthy here in the United States. And it'll still be a decent scrap. It'll be even because both men have been active. Keith at least got a good tune-up. Earl's still young, hungry, ready to get back in, coming off a bad loss against the likes of Terrence Bud Crawford, where he got outclassed, beat, and knocked down, TKO'd, stopped. Who still has it is how I would sell that pay-per-view card. Who has it? Who still wants it? Who is ready to rebuild their career between Errol Spence and Keith One Time Thurman? I think it'll be a hell of an event, hell of a card, hell of a scrap for these two men to get it going. Now that Keith has got his tune-up in, Earl doesn't believe in tune-ups, go straight into it. And it'll probably be the biggest pay-per-view event right now that PBC can do, outside of maybe getting David Benavidez and Bivol under their blanket, under their umbrella. We could see if that could happen. You know, they're going back and forth with Turki Alalshikh now and TKO Promotions. Who's going to win that war? We don't know. But until that's signed, sealed, and delivered, this could be a decent pay-per-view card that does maybe 400, 500,000 buys, depending on how they do the undercard. But shout out to Keith One Time Thurman getting back, getting his name going, and getting the rumor started, getting the push going, as many are starting to believe actually Errol Spence is going to be the second option, the second way for Keith One Time Thurman. And you know PBC loves their in-house fights. Both fighters are foundational staple members of the PBC, and that'll be easy work for them to put together a decent pay-per-view card for Amazon Prime to show to get both of those fighters back in the mainstream, and they will promote the fight very well. You already know that's going to go down. But obviously, Tim Tszyu is the primary option. That's the priority. If something does happen to him, if he does lose to the likes of Joey Spencer, and that's a possibility. Joey Spencer is not a terrible fighter. He is not someone to be overlooked. He could actually beat the likes of Tim Tszyu. He's a big kid at that weight. He just got to get in there and do business, meaning Tim Tszyu. But if something does happen by chance, he does not beat Joey Spencer, Errol Spence is clearly right there as that second option, as PBC is already trying to negotiate that and structure that to get it going. I personally would rather see the Errol Spence and Keith One Time Thurman fight first. I'm not sure what you guys think. Let me know. But I believe Earl and Keith, what other time now to do it? If it doesn't happen this year or next, it's never going to happen. It's a decent scrap. At this point, it's still a good even scrap now that both had decent layoffs. We might as well get that going. Get the pay-per-view card going. Summer fight. I prefer it over Tim Tszyu. I think it does better numbers than Tim Tszyu. And maybe put Tim on the undercard and he gets the winner. That would be a good build-up. That would be a good way to bring back, some of that PBC fight fair and really get their stable back going. They've had a tough 6 months, 8 months or so, especially with the likes of what happened to Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But with the controversy that happened there, the knee gate and everything. And obviously, it was a lot of lackluster fare for that fight anyways when it began and when it started. Many people were not interested in Lamont Roach. They didn't care about Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis. They want him to fight some of the bigger names out there, the Shakur Stevensons, the Keyshawn Davis, even move up and fight Teofimo Lopez, or get it on with either Ryan Garcia again, see if you can really beat him with no weight clauses and all this drainage issues, or maybe get it on with Devin the Dream Haney. Got it. Good. Many people were not interested in that Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach fight. That kind of hurt the PBC a little bit. But shout out to David Benavidez for at least continuing to fight and scrap like he is. Him and Morrell got it on, had a nice scrap there, nice event. for PBC, but it's starting to get low on the stable there. And I think this is something that can at least help it out and shouldn't cost a whole lot of money, meaning Errol Spence and Keith One Time Thurman, and would build some interest back into their stable around the 154-pound, 160-pound divisions, maybe in 147. As they could put, some undercard fighters on there, get their names known, and grow them. They really need to start getting back into the business of growing their fighters, especially their mid-tier junior fighters who are trying to come back up. And what better way to do it than getting it could really be a free card if they really want to do it right, but understood. I know how PBC gets down. With that said, moving on from that, right? Keith One Time Thurman, Errol Spence Jr., that's the priority fight for us. That's what we like to see here in the States. Tim Tszyu is a great fighter himself. He earned some fights himself. He gets past George Spencer. I think you put him on the undercard of Keith One Time Thurman, Errol Spence. He gets that winner. You keep building that. Keep building that cycle, keep building that promotion for PBC. I believe that's the way you go. That's the next fight for Keith One Time Thurman. But salute to that man right now. Enjoy the victory that you got here March 12, 2025. Salute to that man. Salute to that warrior. Salute to that brother for taking boxing serious. As always, a true professional, future Hall of Famer. He is the man in the division. He is the man in 154 pounds, and he's a real warrior. And he's showing the other fighters that's what you do. You stay dedicated even when you're down in boxing. You stay dedicated even when you get injured. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Hard work and dedication from the likes of Keith One Time Thurman. Salute to that brother, and also salute to him for promoting that fight the best he could and getting eyeballs on it. He really carried that promotion all by himself, and he made it a show, got the third round knockout. Salute to that brother. Salute to that man. I want to see him and Errol the True Spence get it on August timeframe, 2025, as rumors with them and PBC are starting to work that deal out. Obviously, right now, again, Tim Tszyu is still the priority option. He was there in attendance. They had the fight previously signed. We will see what happens between that. He's got to get past Joey Spencer. But again, here, we rather see the Errol Spence fight. And that's the way we think it should go. But let us know what you think. Hit that comment section and hit that like button. Again, it's free, man. It's your boy, Casual Rep with Sonnet Podcast. We're going to get into our second topic real quick. Gervonta the Tank Davis. Why did he bend the knee? Why did he take the knee in that badass round number 9, the controversial round 9 that everybody clearly knows by now? It's been over about 2 weeks or so since this has happened. The controversy of what happened there. Did Lamont Roach get robbed? Yeah, I guess. He got robbed, to me, of the knee. If the knee happened, the ref start calling, not start calling. He started counting, as if Tank had been knocked down or knocked out, right? And then Tank goes to his corner, turns his back, gets wiped down, comes back. Him and the ref talk about it. He says it looked like a knockdown. That kind of thing makes me think you got knocked down, blah, 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 when you get wiped. And then lo and behold, the scorecards come out how they were. Majority draw. We actually scored at 115-113 without the knockdown, obviously, in the favor of Gervonta the Tank Davis. But I cannot argue with anybody who had it for the likes of Lamont Roach. Again, salute to that brother for really showing up, showing out, and doing what he was supposed to do and really making a believer out of all of us. I don't think many of us saw or even comprehended that happening to the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis. Lamont Roach walked in with a great game plan. He walked in the right style. And, he showed he belonged. Hold on one second. All right. But yeah, salute to that brother, man, for showing he had the right game plan, right style to take on a like Gervonta Tank Davis. It is what it is, right? But what we started with here is why take the knee? Why did Gervonta Tank Davis actually take the knee? We made a previous video on this, and it's posted. It's out there. And we want to cover real quick to make sure everybody understood what we're saying. Why Gervonta the Tank Davis took/bent the knee in the 9th round is strictly because of this, his silk sheet behavior. Silk sheet behavior is the reason Gervonta Tank Davis bent that knee, took that knee in the 9th round, and thought nothing of it. He has been relaxing too long. He's been at the top level for so long. He's been making a lot of money, living in the finest houses, doing the best things you could possibly do. And salute to that brother for enjoying his bread, enjoying his money, and sitting back. But in the sense of fight camp, he stays in weight. He looks good. He's physically in shape. As always, he's been a professional on that for the most part, but he is a smaller fighter for 135 pounds. But it's the silk sheet behavior from the likes of Gervonta the Tank Davis that has actually been costing him his career. Now, that sounds contradictory because right now, Gervonta Tank Davis is probably one of the faces of boxing. Between him and Canelo, they sell a lot of cards, a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of status. They are the top tier in boxing as we know it. These two gentlemen, meaning Canelo Alvarez and Gervonta Tank Davis, are in a position where they are wrestling with something and more susceptible than other fighters are, especially those who are coming up to deal with the silk sheet behavior. Why I'm comparing those two right now is because the reason these two men tackle the situation, the silk sheet behavior, differently. One, I believe, is doing it the correct way. The other, maybe not. When you get too comfortable being on top, when you get used to the mansion, when you get too comfortable with the fancy slippers, the silk pajamas, the special treatment from your promotional company, the first things first, and you're always considered first, and you are the top concern for your business, the top concern for your payer, your overseer, your managers, your promotional company, or you are the boss. You are the one that everybody waits hand and foot on. When you get too comfortable with that, you start to lose your edge. You start to lose that dog mentality. You start to forget you're a fighter. Yeah, you come in to work out, you stay on shape, you stay in weight, you be a professional, but you're losing that one fighting edge that's kept you undefeated, that's kept you on the top of the game. And that is the fighting edge, the dog mentality, the silk sheet behavior sneaks in and removes that from you, that edge. When you're a warrior, when you're a fighter, when you're boxing and challenging yourself in the sport of boxing specifically, or any combat sport, you got to have that fighting spirit, that fighting edge where no matter what happens in this ring, I'm 10 toes down and dialed into my opponent, and I am trying to win this by any means necessary. Legally, not dirty, but any means necessary. I will dig down in the depths of me, in my spirit, in my soul, and give it all I've got. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if they're fighting dirty. I'm fighting hard and I'm scrapping like I should be. And there's nothing left in my mind except to bring the pain and bring the fight. When you have the silk sheet syndrome, I'm going to call it, the silk sheet behavior, some of that edge goes away. Now you're just depending on your abilities. You look good. It's supposed to happen for you that night. You're supposed to get the knockout. You're depending on what? The power. You're depending on your physical abilities. And you forgot about the mental edge, the mental fortitude that you needed to actually walk in and win this fight as well. It's 80% mental, 20% physical. There's plenty of good boxers out there who are physically sound, have all the skill sets, have all the boxing IQ, and just can't make it to the next level because they lose the mental focus, the mental game, the mentality that it requires to be a fighter in the sport of boxing. Without the mentality, without the focus, without that mindset, when you run into a roadblock, you will begin to either fold, stumble, or not understand what's going on and what to do and how to respond. And that is what happened to the likes of Gervonta the Tank Davis in round number 9. Lamont Roach was putting that pressure on. He was counterpunching well. He was pressuring Gervonta like he's never been pressured before. He was boxing magnificently, but more importantly, Gervonta the Tank Davis was frustrated that he couldn't really get his offense off because Lamont Roach's defense was amazing that night. He was frustrated that this man's defense was amazing, and more importantly, his chin was holding up against the punches, some of the best punches that Tank could get off that night. He was confused, bewildered of what was happening in that ring. And because he's been getting this treatment, this pamper treatment, he thinks he's that guy, he's that man, he's got the swag, you know, he slaps on lip chap like it's nobody else's business, and he walks through and he's got all the gear, all the flesh, all the swag. He forgot he's got to have to fight to actually win this thing. You actually have to box to beat certain people. You're going to actually have to go all 12. You're actually going to have to dig down and come up with multiple game plans, multiple styles, multiple playbooks to beat some fighters, especially a fighter like Lamont Roach, who already had your number, who already understood your style, whose style himself was already tailor-made for you. When you have that silk sheet mentality, you think it's just supposed to happen. He took that knee in round number 9 because he's just used to getting it his way. He didn't understand what was going on. So when the grease started burning, he thought, yeah, that's it. The grease is confusing. The grease is what's causing his frustration. The grease is what's getting in his vision. Why his punches can't land where he wants them to land. It's distracting him too much. So he took the knee to go get wiped down to think, yeah, this is it. I'm going to get generalized from this. I'm going to get this out of my face. This is what's really causing it. More importantly, I need this shit wiped down anyways. When we've seen other real fighters without that mentality, especially the ones that's coming up, the ones who dogging out. I mean, shout out to Badu Jack, who had probably one of the nastiest gashes in the middle of his head with blood running straight down his eye into his mouth. And that man fought all the way through and finished that thing off. Tank lost the edge because of his silk sheet behavior. Grease or no grease. Old Tank, that dog Tank, that Baltimore bred Tank, wouldn't have gave a damn about no grease, and he would have kept fighting and figuring out what he needs to do to get inside of Lamont Roach's defense to get his shots off. He would have went back to that corner, told him to wipe his shit down real quick, get this out of here so he can get back out there and get at Lamont Roach. The real Tank from Baltimore would have never even had the damn hairstyle in the first place. He would have been fight focused and got something fight ready. But he lost the edge with the silk sheet behavior. Comparing him to Canelo Alvarez, right? Another fighter who's the face of boxing, who makes good money, got a good name about himself. Canelo actually wears silks pajamas to the damn face-off interviews, you name them. But the one thing about Canelo that you've never seen him do in a fight is wilter. He's there for the fight. He loves the fight. He hasn't lost his edge even with all the money, hundreds of millions of dollars made. And he gets pampered for damn sure. But when it's time to go to fight camp, when it's time to turn onto the fight, he clicks back into that beast mode. He doesn't let the money get in the way. He doesn't let special treatment do anything for him. He came there to fight a man, get to the bag, and staple himself as a Hall of Famer in the sport of boxing. That's all he cares about. And you can see it when he actually shows up to fight night. There's no complaining. There's no wiltering. There's none of that. His fighting edge is still there. Gervonta the Tank Davis needs to take a page out of Canelo Alvarez's book to understand how to maneuver when you've got that kind of money. And don't get me wrong, Tank is still young. I mean, well, hell, he's almost pushing 30, or he is 30, but he's still young. He's getting to the bag. He needs to take a look at Canelo, how he trains. Take a look at Canelo of how he fights, not by technique, but by mentality, the fighter's edge, that dog mentality. That is why, again, Tank took that knee in the 9th round. He was losing that edge. He's just used to shit happening to him. He's used to touching him with that uppercut or that overhand left, and they go down, especially when he's down on the cards. This ain't the first time Tank's been down on cards or behind. He's just used to that power getting them back, almost like the Deontay Wilder complex. Losing all the damn rounds, but that power sure is going to come in. But what he was confused by is when he ran into somebody who didn't back down, or somebody who didn't go down, and it was boxing well and had damn good defense. He was frustrated. Tank was frustrated again by this because he was not prepared mentally. He was not prepared from a fighter's edge, and you can see it from the build-up to the fight. He really wasn't there. He really wasn't interested. He think he should have had something else. Something else should have been going on for him. He was not mentally engaged. Again, that silk sheet behavior, that special treatment will remove that fighting edge from him. He needs to get back to that old thing. He needs to get back to that dog mentality, to that Baltimore-raised Tank. He will lose in a rematch with Lamont Roach if he does not fix his focus, if he does not get that edge back, that kill or be killed mentality back that he had. He cannot depend on his physical attributes all the time to get him out of a jam. The power is not always, everybody's not always going to feel your power. Yes, he can swat. Yes, he can crack. But my brother, you need to make sure you have the mental focus and fortitude, no matter what you do in life and no matter what job you have to be mentally focused, mentally prepared. Again, it's 80% mental, 20% physical to carry you through your day, to carry you through your job, to carry you through a fight, particularly for our boxers. You have to be focused and you have to go in there sharp and ready to go, or somebody's going to take you out. Someone's going to take your fame. Somebody's going to take your position. Somebody's going to take your job. And Lamont Roach was the man who really walked in and took Tank's job that night. Tank wasn't there. No matter what the excuses are, it is what it is. He wasn't locked in. His muscle memory led him to take that damn knee in the 9th to understand what was happening to him. Again, I think the grease was the excuse to wipe him down, but he was more frustrated by not being able to execute his offense there in the 9th and not being, again, locked in mentally. Even in these few interviews and weeks out, he didn't even know which rounds he was in. As a fighter, you need to be focused, brother. You need to know every round that's going on. You need to know how your man's looking. You need to look across the ring, see how he's breathing, get his cadence going. You got to be locked in. If Tank doesn't fix this issue and get it handled quick or whatever's going on in his corner, he will lose in the rematch to Lamont Roach because that brother clearly wasn't going down. He had a hell of a good game plan. He had good defense. Tank's going to have to figure it out and figure it out without just the power. Many also believe that Tank overtrained. Tank is small now. He's cut down in a lot of weight, man. He was on weight way out from the fight. Is he losing some of his power over training? Could be. But that still has nothing to do with the likes of his mental focus in rounds number 9 and past in the championship rounds. It has nothing to do with how he's showing up to face-offs and press conferences 2 hours late. He's got to come in serious, even if it's a fighter you don't want to fight at that time, even somebody that you're cool with, because him and Lamont Roach don't have real beef. They're very aware of each other from amateurs to sparring sessions. There's no animosity there. But even when there's no animosity, you still have to come in and do the job. That's the biggest way you could lose, is not having, you think you always got to have a dislike for the person that you're fighting. No. You just have to have a love for the sport of boxing and a love of winning. Tank, he can bounce back. I think a lot of people are throwing him away too early. I think a lot of people are really shitting on his career right now, and it's not fair. He's had a slip up. He had a bad night, and he can recover. He's still who he is. He's still a good boxer in the division. He's still a decent 135 pounder. Is he on the top 10 or list or not? I really don't care. You could argue no because of some of the competition he's fought, but more importantly to me, I think it's his activity. I'm tired of seeing Tank only fight once a year. I think that's another issue that he's having. Again, when that fight mentality, you got to be locked in and fight multiple times, 2 times a year for a face of boxing. Look at Canelo Alvarez again, 2 times every year. That brother fights. Tank's been fighting once a year here and there. Not locked in, not engaged. I want to see more of him. I want to see some more fights. I want to see him come back. I like what he does. I think he's good for the sport of boxing. I think he is a face in the sport of boxing. Salute to that man. Hit that like button. It's free. Comment below. Subscribe, man, if you got the time. We really appreciate that love. As always, man, it's your boy Cash Real with the Sign A podcast. We just want to get on real quick and talk about the 2 topics. Again, Keith one-time Thurman showed out in Sydney, Australia, did his thing. Boxed well, boxed smart. Rumor has it it's going to be between Tim Tszyu and Errol the Truth Spence getting that scrap with Keith one-time Thurman later this year, probably this summer, early fall. We vote and want the likes of Errol the Truth Spence and Keith one-time Thurman to finally get that scrap. I think it'd be a good event and a decent card here in the States. And then also Gervonta the Tank Davis, why he took that bad knee in the round number 9. Clearly, it's by lack of mental fortitude, lack of focus, and lack of the fighter's edge due to the silk sheet behavior, due to the special treatment. He's got to get out of that funk, get out of that movement, get out of that mindset, and back focused on that killer be killed mentality in the ring to take out anyone that's fighting with him. Again, we appreciate the support, appreciate that love, man. That's our quick take on that, man. It's your boy Cash Real with Sunday Podcast. Again, hit that like button, comment below, and if you got the time, subscribe, man. As anyways, I don't know what happened there. Anyways, man, it's your boy Cash Real. Until the next time, peace. I think we're gonna play a quick video on our way out, and that will do.
Ain't nobody mention Bankhead without acknowledging me.
We're in the bricks, P-Town. One original that they won't tear down. Hello.
Yo, it's your boy Casual Real with the Silent A podcast. And man, we back with another one. And a quick one at that. Yo, hit that like button, comment below, and subscribe, man. If you got the time, we appreciate that love. Again, hit that like button. It's free, and subscribe if you got the time. We're going quick, we're going fast. And for this one, we're getting straight into it. It's about the silk sheets and pajamas. The silk sheet behavior. What the hell is wrong with the likes of Gervonta the Tank Davis? Let's get straight into it because it's going to be a quick one. We're going straight to the point. This has been seen before. This is no surprise. It's a common theme in boxing. What the hell is wrong with Gervonta Tank Davis? It's the silk sheet behavior. What do we mean about that? When you start making a lot of money, start getting a lot of fame, a lot of drip, as the young kids call it now, a lot of, side pleasures that come with the name of the business, no matter what type of business that is, whether it's, music, the fight game, NBA, NFL, you name it. Silk sheets and pajamas runs across any gambit, especially against competitive like sports, competitive businesses. And there's nothing more competitive than the likes of boxing. Silk sheets and pajamas, silk sheet behavior is what destroys fighters, especially fighters who run off emotion and aggression. Silk sheet behavior. That is what the hell is wrong with the likes of Gervonta the Tank Davis. What do we mean by this? As you've seen how he's acting up coming to the fight. Weird behavior, things he didn't want to be here, kind of prima donna-ish, the damn lip gloss. If I see that brother slap on some more lip chap, I'm gonna lose it. But the damn lip gloss and lip chap he's always putting on, the fancy gear, and I get it. He's doing the fancy clothes, the fancy wear, because that's what his generation likes. That's what they like to see. But when you're in the fight game, in the fight business, man, you got to come a professional, right? He's showing up 2 hours late to the damn training sessions, showing up 2 hours late to the damn interviews. And I meant by training sessions, I meant like the media workouts and stuff like that. The brother does work out. You can see his training videos. He stayed on weight, doing his thing there, but it's the behavior outside and coming into the ring. And then more importantly, it was full display during the fight. Hair braided, you want to look good, but blame it on some goddamn grease running in his eyes. That's the way he's looking. Come on, man. We seen brothers with their heads split open, cut, blood gashing into their eyes, and still scrapping, still fighting and getting it going. No one else can do it better than I seen with the likes of Badu Jack, with his head was split open like an alien and still fought and still banged that thing out. When you're a warrior and you got that fighting spirit, you fight through anything. Even if it was a little grease, and I get it, man. A little grease can, it can burn your eyes and whatnot, but had you not had the prima donna silk sheet behavior, you would have known better to come in with a hairstyle that was suitable for fighting. You would have known to take the preparations to make sure you're fully prepared, fully ready. There's no things that can get in your way. This sounds very Deontay Wilderish. The damn heavy suit, wore his legs out. Silk sheet behavior. That is what's wrong with the likes of Gervonta the Tank Davis. When you're worried too much about what's going on outside the ring, worried too much about the image, and more importantly, you're waking up, in the biggest houses, driving the nicest cars. And that's nothing against the success. You should enjoy your success, enjoy the fruits of your labor, but you enjoy that in the off time. In the off season, when it's time to get back in that season, you get back to that dog mentality. And that's not just in the gym. It's your behavior, it's your mentality. It's how you focus in on the fight. And more importantly, how you perform during the fight. It will come out when you've been doing a little too much of the relaxation, a little bit too much of the pampering, a little bit too much of that A-side treatment. That's why the likes of Canelo Alvarez, who has been an A-side for a long time, but one thing you can't say about him, he comes in to fight every time. He works like he's losing all his money tomorrow. But not just in the gym, he does it outside of that. Personal life, how he gets into funny enough, he wears silk pajamas to the fight because that's what he likes to wear. Very simple. But more importantly, when he shows up on time to press conferences, on time to any type of media event. And more importantly, he comes in fully focused, minimalistic, and ready for the fight on fight night. It shows that he still has that hunger. He shows he still has that fight. Now, we can talk about his competition and people he's been fighting. That's not here for that. I'm just saying how he comes in professionally, fully ready, fully geared, ready to fight at any moment and any time. A man like him making 30+ million per fight, he should just be coasting. But he's still scrapping and still working hard and still being a professional while at it. Gervonta Davis needs to take a page out of that book, how to work with money, work with the fame, work with the A-side treatment, and still have that mentality, that kill or be killed mentality in the ring. That's what I'm talking about, that silk sheet behavior. It will come out in the ring. Because when the going gets tough and things start going the wrong way, greasing eye, shoulder roll, can't get past it, can't get past that defense, you're getting frustrated, can't figure out how to beat the likes of Lamont Roach. It will show when you've lost that edge if you never kept it in and outside of the ring. A-side treatment, silk sheets pajamas have ruined some of the greatest fighters. Even Mike Tyson getting beat by the likes of Buster Douglas. A-side treatment, out there doing cocaine and partying with Bobby Brown. It happens to the best. Roy Jones, ask him, you get too dependent on your skill set and it's going to carry you all the way through. silk, sheets, pajamas, and A-side treatment. It's the ruiner of all competitive fighters or competitive sportsmen. You name it. He's got to get that edge back, got to get that dog back, or he will truly lose to the likes of Lamont Roach if they had that rematch, or to his next fighter, someone who has more dog and skill set and a chin to withstand his natural skill sets and abilities. Either way, we talked way too long with this. Hit that comment section. Let us know what you think. What is truly wrong with the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis? Is it more than the silk sheets and pajamas? Is he mentally not engaged anymore? Mentally doesn't want to be there? Is he having frustrations with the likes of PBC? Is there some things of him acting out against that? Or is he truly just not that good as we thought he was? Anyways, hit that comment section. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button first before you do it. It's free. And as always, man, hit that subscribe. We appreciate that love. It's your boy Casual Real with the Sign 8 Podcast. Until the next time, peace. Like we said, once again, man, it's your boy Casual Real with the Sign 8 Podcast. That was just one of our breakdown, original breakdown for like what we feel happened to the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis. That silk sheet behavior, man. We covered enough. Again, hit that like button, comment below, man. We appreciate all that love. Subscribe, man. We're going to do more lives as we keep growing. But as always, check out our other videos. We got a lot of content out there, man. We're going quick. We're going fast for a small channel, man. It's your boy Casual Real with the Sign 8 Podcast. Hit that like button, comment below, subscribe. Once again, we got the likes of Keith One-Time Thurman back in the building in the silk sheet pajama behavior from the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis. We're interested to see where these two men careers grow for the year of 2025. But for now, salute to Keith One-Time Thurman getting it back in there. And then Tank Davis, let's get back to that fighter's mentality, that fighter's edge, that dog mentality. Again, it's your boy Casual Real. That like button's free. Hit that like. Let us continue to grow. And as always, if you've got the time, subscribe. Until the next time, we appreciate it. But